Yeah, this memory card just goes 30 minutes, and then I can tell from the viewer that the 30 minutes is run, it goes off. But I can keep doing 30 minutes on the same card. Oh, you know, I've seen it, we've gone as high as 12, 30 minutes. So it's a powerful memory card. I don't know why it stops at 30 minutes. I think it's some adjustment on the camera, but God's not showing it to me, so that's it. I don't have self-will. I can't say, God, I'm going to figure out why this is. I can't do things like that. Uh-oh. I think my page skipped. Hold on, I got to find out where I was. Oh, it's the test of devotion. When the test of devotion, it's part of 53:10 still, will he offer himself for guilt and go through God's fire of refinement or not? Is set before the righteous servant. The new covenant has already arrived. And there's a lot more detail on this in other tapes that concern 53. That is why the angel of the covenant, Malachi 3, that you desire arrives before Elijah, the messenger of Malachi 3, and God. The new covenant, Jeremiah 31, where the iniquities and sins of the Jewish people are forgiven, and God remembers them no more. Okay, that's the people, the first 6 verses. They need to know you have no sin. Start over. Stop feeling like this. Stop leading your lives like this. Get your lives back together. Get your job back. Get your marriage back. Go to synagogue. Follow God's rules. God doesn't really care if you follow them or not. He even told Israel in the Psalms, said, look, every one of you can turn your backs to me and my laws. And I'm still not going to leave. He says the commandments, the rules, the laws, they're all for the people. Primarily, and first, the Jewish people. But, nothing really bothers God. I mean, he told me the first week, Keith, your pain means absolutely nothing to me. And as the Jewish people, you can probably feel the same way. But you don't say he let the Holocaust continue, or this and that, or why didn't he stop it? He says, that's on the Jewish people. That's on my chosen. They got driven out, but they could have come back hundreds of years before the Holocaust occurred. He said, I gave you the piece of land. I'm out here sitting here waiting for you to come back and make it pretty again, bloom again. And secret up my sleeve, I already know the Holocaust is going to happen, and that you're going to be coming back. I don't have to do anything. That's on a video, his power in creation. Why he's like that. He likes to believe that he thought everything through, all the way through the Holocaust, all the way through today, and all the way to the end. And that he doesn't have to exercise power. That's why, especially a Messianic era, infuriates him. Because these two groups can't possibly think 2 billion Christians are going to disavow Jesus and 2 billion Muslims. Are you kidding me? Disavowing Allah? May the peace be on him, as they say all the time. You can't be serious. And they teach this stuff. Now, again, I was an atheist for 50 years, and I'm learning that religious people are a little different than other people. But I didn't think stupidity was part of it. But, that's just ridiculous to teach such a thing. World exaltation. That's such a joke. And he can't point to God saying it anywhere, that's for sure. It's not in the Hebrew Bible. Jesus was a liar? God lies to me. God of Israel, I know. Everybody says he can't lie. He said, would I lie? Am I a man that I would lie? That's not even saying you're not a liar. But he says, no, the truth is it's the fire of refinement. Well, it had me think, okay, it's going to be over today. This is the last time you hurt. This is the last time I make you suffer. And then I wake up, and he hits me with everything he's got. That's in his regular arsenal. You know, just to upset me. More emotional pain, more maltreatment. Test of devotion. The guilt I don't know if I read it. The guilt, an emotion, is from not following the laws and teachings of God by the Jewish people. God's forgiveness of the sins of the Jewish people removes their guilt, not the offering of the righteous servant for it. That is why it is just a test. God knows this before he covenants with the man. That's me. We made an agreement. I'll go through your fire refinement, which, by the way, he didn't explain very well. Nor did I realize how long it was going to take. I got hoodwinked. If I would offer myself for the guilt. Become his righteous servant, make the many righteous. It sounded like a great thing. Plus, I had had a death sentence put on me by the doctors. So even might receive long life. I pretty much trust that he was going to let me live a long life if I went through the fire. A covenant that I made, that he makes himself an offering for guilt, God might not let him die of the disease. A test of devotion, trusting that God will not let him die. It says out of his anguish. That's what that, in 53, I don't think we've gotten to it. Maybe we will. It says out of his anguish. That's the final refinement. That's the anguish. Jesus didn't feel anguish with crucifixion. He just died. He wasn't exposed to death. He died. He can't be the man in 53. I told y'all this story. I heard this man of the cloth, Catholic, say, well, we know Jesus doesn't fit every verse, but who else could it be? How about? I didn't know it at the time, but I should have said, hey, I know who it could be. Me. And he'd have just gone, funny. We know he doesn't hit. If you don't hit all the verses, you're not the righteous servant. And that goes for these folks that say it's Israel. They don't fit all those verses. The primary purpose of verse 10 is not the test of devotion. It is to make certain that the animal sacrificial atonement and worship laws of the Torah cannot be used by the man described, for the man described, as the Christians do. Anyway, with the human sacrifice of Jesus. You can't use them for blemished human beings in the Holocaust either, Toby, singer. It was written for Gentiles and Christians, but he snagged you too. A snare. It is the only reason God would crush a man with disease to make him a servant. Apparently, the Christians do not know how to read and comprehend the Jewish Bible at the same time. That they took as their own and called it the Old Testament, which, by the way, means New Covenant. I don't know why that is. I don't know why Old Testament means New Covenant. Anything? Like I said, they rarely explain anything to me. I got to figure everything out on my own. He would never tell me what a person is thinking or doing. Like, for instance, I have no idea that, for a fact, Toby Singer knows I'm out here screaming to the high heavens that I am Moshiach, and more importantly, Elijah. Because if my efforts to get the third temple built are not successful, and I don't convince the Jewish people to do it, the land's going to be, Israel's going to be utterly destroyed. Not by God and his power, by the Middle East in all probability, and probably Islam. Iran multiple nuclear bombs, Lebanon's rockets, Egypt getting involved, Jordan. You know, Israel has the strongest and best army and air force in the Middle East. But they can't take on 4 or 5 at one time. They're not that good. And David's shield, where they shoot down rockets coming in, those are powered by men. They're guided by men. It's not all computer. And you know, they've been known to miss. But also, the number could be just too high for the shield to stop it. But it's good to have. Don't get me wrong. You cannot offer an animal blemish or with defect. So God blemishes and disfigures the man. No man would refuse God. God does not need a man's permission to make him a servant. He is God. In the book of Ezekiel, as we have seen, God had his spirit cease. And God seasoned him. The spirit has no power. God's in his spirit. Seized Ezekiel and made him suitable for the purpose of being a prophet to the Assyrian Babylon exiles in his fire of refinement. Yeah, the angel of his presence, no power. There's only one power in the heavens, and that's God. There's no angel with power. The Christians think there's evil armies fighting God's angels and stuff all the time. No, there's no power like that. Nobody has power. There's no Satan. There's no Lucifer. It's just all made up. So everybody's got, this is killing me about religion. Everybody just makes stuff up. Jesus is unblemished. He lies 10 different times in your book. That's blemish if you're talking about a human being. He's not perfect. Just make stuff up. And all these rabbis, all of Judaism teaching Messianic era and world exaltation, the world speaking Hebrew. Okay, I'm Moshiach. Assuming God's not going to do it, and there's nothing to make you think he would do it, how am I going to get 1/3 of the population of this world of 6 billion people, China? How am I going to get them to speak Hebrew? Well, I don't even speak it myself. And I sure don't speak Chinese. I'd have to say, well, I'm leaving on to go make the Chinese speak Hebrew. Which is a stupid idea. Now, in antiquity, I mean, nobody knew how many people were around. Everything looked like a country town and things like that. You know, they could believe these things. And that's you got to break down how this was written in antiquity first, and for the illiteracy of those who had to be taught from it. God knew what the Christians would do with the words wounded, punished, maltreated, bruised, crushed, and chastised, and they did. And apparently so he told you. Use Leviticus. They took the book he gave his children, the Jewish people, and called it their own, saying that Jesus, the unblemished Lamb of God, is described by Isaiah 53. The man is blemished with defect, receives long life, sees his children, and makes the many righteous by his knowledge, not by his blood. Isaiah 53 is a snare for the day of the Lord and God's wrath on the Christians and Gentiles in general, passed to them from his people to end Isaiah 51. And my description begins in 52. I'm his instrument. I am his instrument to take that wrath. And I got to teach the rabbis who are the servants. Okay, this is what you need to do with Christians. Forget this world of peace. We're getting ready to stir things up. Actually, Jesus did say it's just what he was going to do. In the day of the Lord, in the appearance of the true righteous servant of God, the blemished and disfigured prophet of God, the cornerstones of the churches in the Vatican will be removed, and the end of Christianity will begin. So, before you get too mad at God for creating America as a Christian country, using words that from 53, and having Leviticus in his back pocket, to save the Jewish people from extermination. Okay, but he also had a plan to get rid of them once he's done with them. Now it sounds just like him. I got to us, I said, you are a piece of work. He laughs. Here it is, 53:11, verse 11. Out of his anguish he shall see it. He shall enjoy it to the full through his devotion. By his knowledge. My righteous servant makes the many righteous. It is their punishment that he bears. Out of his anguish he shall see it. He shall enjoy it to the full through his devotion. Midrash, commentary. The anguish is from the fire of refinement. That ends when the man is suitable for God's purpose that might prosper. I tell him all the time, there is no way I can't teach this book. I wrote it. I put it on video. I said, why am I still in the fire? And it's gotten worse every year. Last 2 years have been the most painful years in the fire. And most maltreatment, just mean. Come on you like he's going to kill you, scare you to death sometimes. The anguish from fire refinement. Okay. This is also a reference to Isaiah 11:2, where one of the attributes of the Spirit that alights upon the Anointed One is a spirit of devotion and reverence for the Lord. 53:12. Assuredly, I will give him the many as his portion. He shall receive the multitude as his spoil. For he exposed himself to death. Look, the many, he makes the many righteous. The many are the people, the first 6 verses. Because God says, look, surely I will give him the many as his portion. In Tobiah's commentary on 53:10, he says Hitler received a portion. Lampshades made with the skin of Jews. As his portion. So I'm back again. Tobiah, are you saying this is Israel? Which he does. Or are we talking about Hitler making a sacrifice, a guilt offering, which is a compensatory offering? But I don't think he owed the Jews anything. I don't think he broke any religious relics. Why didn't they just stick with the Talmud? For he exposed himself to death and was numbered among the sinners, whereas he bore the guilt of the many and made intercession for sinners. I will give him the many as his portion. He shall receive the multitude as his spoil. Midrash. Commentary. Those who believe in him and are made righteous are the many who become a multitude. For he exposed himself to death. God's righteous servant is crushed with a disease that exposes him to death, but gives him long life. He took the lung cancer from me. That's why I never experienced it. And was numbered among the sinners. God's righteous servant will have been a sinner, not a religious man, which I have admitted many times. There's no question about it. There's no denying it. You could find people in my history who say, oh, no, I remember the time we went out and did this, which I won't repeat. Jesus is said to have been without sin, and like a rabbi was teaching at synagogue when he was 12. Jesus was said to have been like a rabbi teaching synagogue when he was 12. Well, I guess what? The false teachings? Made him a sinner? Are all your rabbis sinners? Well, what is a false teaching? Isn't that a lie? Or is that just I didn't understand? You don't understand the difference in God's word and man's word? Or if you don't have that understanding, you shouldn't be a rabbi, should you? All I can tell you is God doesn't like it, and he doesn't care if you consider it a lie or not. You're not going into the scroll of remembrance, rabbis. How are you going to have a Messianic era with no rabbis as it stands today? What's that going to be like? They got this show, the Christians have the rapture. There's this show that says Left Behind. A Christian who realizes everybody's been raptured. He got left behind, doesn't know one. I can't stand that guy. God makes me watch these shows. It's like a punishment. Okay, next up. Chapter 1. We're doing the whole book again. We're going to put a different picture on it. I'm currently using a very yellowish temple picture for all. It's 60, I think it'll be when it's said and done. The ones I just did, they're already starting to fade a little bit. This one I'm going to put a different picture on it, knowing I can repost them 6 or 7 times. That's about all they handle. And I've already done it with the ones that came before the yellow temple. Everything's grouped by a different picture. But you can find it Israel temple images or Jewish temple images or Jerusalem temple images. And what's too funny is that they always had the Dome of the Rock in there, that big gold dome on top of the temple now, which is Islam. But the title is Israel Temple, Jerusalem's Temple. That ain't, get that out of the pictures. I had to... Anyway, it'll be the leper scholar. I'm going to take a break for a little bit. That took about an hour and 24 minutes. There's a video out there that is just shot. And yet, even today, it's number 2 on my analytic data sheet as far as most views of all 50 videos. They keep, it's under the heading, false... it's basically false teachings of Tobiah Singer and Jews for Judaism. We use that as kind of like bait to get them in, but it's really all about me. It's me in 53. And I just did it pretty much again. So use this instead of that video. We're leaving it behind, by the way. All the bad ones are being culled out right now. That's it. Better late than never, I guess.